What is going on, crisis actors? It is episode 1073 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Britt. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Monday. I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. I was just in the middle of telling Brett a harrowing story from recent events in my life, which I will get to because honestly, it's just crazy enough to tell an audience without providing full context.
You should tell us.
But before that, we do have a $20 super chat here from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. From the DMs it got, everyone seemed to like y'all's cameo in my video on Sunday and thought it was a funny cutaway gag. You understood the assignment, you ate and left no crumbs. As per usual. Well, I actually haven't been on X that much, so I haven't seen it, but I trust you.
Same. Same. Like, I end up like tweeting more when I'm at work, and then like I guess sometimes in the evening. But the key has been to like turn off all notifications. That way you don't get like the need to see if anybody cares and responds.
I've been on that for years.
Yeah.
You gotta turn off notifications from anyone you don't follow, or else you're just going to get constant sensory overload.
Well, like I don't have any notifications on my phone, right? So I don't get any push notifications for anything.
Right.
But you don't have the feeling where now every time you go in to check X, you look and see the little, bar at the bottom saying how many people you have responded to you. Since turning that off, I post, but I don't spend as much time on X as I used to, which is a good thing for your brain.
Sounds remarkably relaxing for a platform like that.
It does.
Good move.
Guys, hit the like button on this episode and subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you've not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Share the episode and the segments out with everybody in your life that you both love and hate. The more people that you share our show with, the faster our channel can grow, which is always a great way to help us out. I also want to say to everybody who came out for the Saturday episode of PCC on the Timcast Discord, that was also a lot of fun as well. And I'm looking forward to making this a twice-a-month thing. I talked in depth about the wealthy leftist, millionaires and the millionaires and the billionaires who funded the Stop the Merger movement of Paramount Studios. It was a very interesting look into the type of person that was trying to prevent it and kind of trying to figure out how I felt about it, given the fact that I think that consolidation is a bad thing in general. I think it's bad for customers. I think it's bad for competition, but also am no fan of government intervention. Look at what happened with Spirit Airlines not being able to be bought by JetBlue or whatever the hell it was. But I made an additional video. I basically re-recorded my thoughts on that after doing the live stream as a segment for everybody to view tomorrow. But then we also did get into questions and callers per se on the Discord. So it was a lot of fun and look forward to doing that not this coming weekend, but the weekend after that. We got another 20 here from award-winning Beep, as Mary would say.
Blank.
Yes, says got temporary shift change to get out of the heat. Happy to see the show live again. Well, we've been live. Oh yes,
yeah.
You're saying you're happy to see the show live.
Oh,
again. Yes,
right.
See, that's the thing. My brain works. I'm like, what the fuck you talking about? Yes,
you're always on
happy.
the back foot. You're always ready to defend the show.
Yes,
but it's not an attack. It's all love. It's all peace and harmony here.
Thank you so much for tuning in live. We very much appreciate that. What are we getting into today? We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about the mass psychosis around women because Sydney Sweeney had the temerity, the absolute gall to like have a completely normal interaction. Well, I guess her boyfriend Scooter Braun was talking to other human beings in public, and so they like zoomed in, cropped, and slowed this video down of her and formed this entire narrative.
They chopped and screwed it.
They basically did, yeah. They were DJ Screw with Sydney Sweeney, trying to turn her into some type of villainous succubus who will flirt and or sleep with anyone, like she's some type of fembot. So it was ridiculous.
Well,
it was stupid.
dating Scooter Braun doesn't exactly help. If that's your reputation.
Okay, fine, but this video is not evidence of that.
No, this video is not evidence of any of that.
So we were going to talk about that. It bears repeating because we had a similar conversation when Brett Cooper met Clavicular.
Yes, yes, we did.
They're kind of in the same ballpark. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about musician Oliver Tree, who did tragically pass away over the weekend in a helicopter crash, and now fans of his are going deep down the conspiracy rabbit hole, trying to come up with a reason why, a sensible reason why senseless things happen. And unfortunately, it's about as absurd as it sounds like, but we'll get into all of that.
Always a conspiracy. Everything is a conspiracy. It doesn't matter if the body is still warm. It's a conspiracy.
I have conspiracy fatigue. I do.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the conspiracy slop.
So we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about how obsession has set off the gender wars. It had another fantastic weekend at the box office. I should have pulled up some of the statistics, of which there were many. But it only had it was a very low drop. Somebody could look it up what the percentage was this weekend. It was like 7 in week 4 or week 4, and then I forget, it was like 20% or something like that. A very low percentage drop.
It beat Avengers Endgame.
Yes, well, thank you for that clickbait. Maybe we'll explain what you mean by that later in the. Stay tuned, and we'll explain what that means later in the show.
We'll leave it on a cliffhanger with that one.
Also, there's a new social media trend that seems to bolster the concept that dead internet theory is not just a theory, but in fact a reality, where people are being asked to repeat phrases in several different connotations. And while it may seem offhand like some type of innocuous and harmless TikTok trend, it could also perhaps be something used to train AI algorithms to further spell your doom.
And steal your identity.
Steal your identity. So we got that. We got a $20 super chat here from Weary Traveler, who says, take the hat off. No. I will not do that.
That's it? That's just a demand?
That's the demand. And somebody earlier, I think Burned Oils earlier, said that my hat was disrespectful to Oliver Tree, to which I say no, that is also not true.
Wait, what is disrespectful?
I was wearing a backwards hat in the thumbnail.
So what? What does that have to do with Oliver Tree?
I'm not at his wake or his funeral or his memorial service, so this is
Believe it or not, we did not personally know this man.
Yes. So we've got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's go. Guys, I know I teased this story, but do you think I should just wait until we're in the super chats later on and get into that?
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll wait till we're in the super chats.
Okay, we'll get into that later. I'll just leave you guys on a cliffhanger with that one. Anyways.
All right, let's go ahead and let's get started.
All right. As you all know, this show is all about defending women's honor, and vindicating women. This is another one of those moments where we're going to have to white knight for women, specifically one woman, Sydney Sweeney, because she simply can do nothing right in the eyes of the public. She cannot win. Everything she does is somehow incriminating, including smiling at people, being polite, shaking hands, being professional. That's exactly what you're seeing here in this video. But because it was framed in a very particular light, and because it was put in slow-mo for a dramatic effect, it appears that she's trying to seduce every male in sight.
Can I
Well, her boyfriend, Scooter Braun, is watching in the cock chair.
That wasn't even I'm sorry, but this is like a Little Rascals level handshake. Like, aw shucks, good sir. Like, what are you even talking about?
Do you think she gives a firm handshake? Or do you think it's more like kind of
no?
fishy?
Okay, so who was the lady who started Theranos? She tried to give a firm handshake.
Holmes.
She probably did because she tried to copy Steve Jobs, right? She tried to take the male approach to the CEO chair, whereas Sydney Sweeney takes the feminine, I'm gonna play on my sexuality and soft power method. So no, I don't think that she gives a firm handshake. Perhaps to other women, but not to men.
I don't know. For women, I would assume that it's more like a professional side hug situation.
Do they bow to each other?
I don't know. I don't know anymore. I just preferred hugging in general in all contexts.
She's
but anyways,
even leaning into her boyfriend.
Yeah, there's Scooter right there. You can't see him because they expertly cropped out every other face from this video except for hers. So
she's laughing.
It appears that she's flirting with someone, but in reality, she is in the middle of a group conversation with could be 3 or 4 people at once, and she's shifting who she's looking at constantly. And this post says how women look at you when they know you have a wife or girlfriend. Another one that merely mirrored the video and posted the same one said, Sydney Sweeney will flirt with any man who talks to her. I have never seen anything like this before. And then he followed it up by saying, Sydney Sweeney is dating disgraced music manager, former Kamala Harris cheerleader Scooter Braun, who is best known for scamming artists and donating big money to far-left liberal causes. So she's not just a seductress, a succubus, but also she has betrayed the MAGA movement, which presumably they're implying she aligned herself with in the first place. In reality, she never did. She stepped away from commenting on politics altogether, which was interpreted as a right-wing stance.
She never commented on politics to begin with. She was like outed as a Republican. As far as I'm concerned, there's another Sydney Sweeney out there, and she's just
I don't think there's another Sydney Sweeney. I think it's pretty much confirmed that she votes Republican in Florida, which a lot of liberals do. It's not that surprising. I meet liberal Republicans all the time.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking.
They're usually not in their 20s, though. That's what's somewhat notable about it.
It is funny. So I've been like following the road signs, like just in my free time, looking into the various people running for office out where we are. And it's really funny when you see like a Democrat whose platform is like the most basic Republican. It's like, we need fire and rescue safety. Like I saw one where this guy's, he's not even like anti-data center. He's like, I'm willing to hear people out on it. I'm like, if you were a national level politician, you would have to declare your hatred of data centers. Whereas instead he's like, yeah, like I'm here. I'm looking to hear people's opinions on this rezoning of this data center and all this stuff. And he's just one of 3 Democrats running in Frederick. And he was like a firefighter for like 37 years. And his platform is like, we're all in this together, which is the most generic thing you've ever heard. And all of his platform is basically like, moderate to slightly liberal.
Right. I mean, these days, moderate, socially liberal, fiscally conservative Republicans or Democrats are a dime a dozen. The only thing that's atypical about it is just that she is a Gen Z female.
And she's friends with Hunter Schafer.
What we're looking at is someone who is good at networking and forming relationships and getting ahead in her industry. That's what we're looking at right now. That's probably why she's dating Scooter Braun. I'm sorry if that's a cynical take, but that's mine. And now people are using this as a mirror into gender dynamics, saying that all women are scrutinized this way, and that's why they are bitches. One said, they love telling women to smile. Don't know who they is. Who's they, though? And then say that smiling is flirting. This is why it's called rape culture. I'll just say it.
Okay.
That's what they say it is. This is an expression of grape culture.
There was one that I saw yesterday that I liked that said, hate to be that friend that's too woke, but she's in a lose-lose situation here. If she acts aloof or doesn't smile, everyone calls her a cold-hearted bitch. If she smiles and she is friendly, then she's a whore who flirts with everyone. You can't win.
Yep, she's wrong either way. And you brought this up earlier. I made the same exact connection in my mind to that viral moment between Brett Cooper and Clavicular at Fashion Week, where she's backstage hanging out with her friends, briefly makes eye contact and shakes his hand, and smiles like any normal person would. And people are literally writing fan fiction about these two having an affair over it. And again, it's just, you can do nothing right. If she ignored him, then everyone would come after her for that too. But because she was a polite professional person and briefly met a guy.
It is also important to point out the slow motion does all the work in these videos, and the cuts do all the work in these videos. Be very, very aware of how you're being manipulated when you watch stuff like this.
Right. Everything is fake.
Everything is like right there. She's literally just laughing at something somebody else said who's talking to her husband or her boyfriend, not her husband. They're not going to get married. I don't buy for a second.
Well, I mean, maybe this might age badly. Maybe they will get married. Who knows? Maybe that's her starter husband. But look, I couldn't find it. But I remember there being an op-ed related to this subject in EV Magazine somewhat recently, just about how like hot women are villainized so often for their hotness, because really it's a form of resentment because they're powerful. They have pretty privilege, like that's a real thing. So they're villainized for that, and their intentions are assumed to be malicious, when in reality they're just acting how any normal person would. If you smile, you're flirting or leading someone on. If you don't, you're a bitch. You're rude. There's no way around this, especially being as visible as she is in the public eye. Things like this are going to happen.
Nor does she seem to care. She lets this type of stuff roll. This stuff probably rolls off her much easier even than the political stuff does, because this type of discourse is even more ridiculous and out there.
As the GQ interview has proven for us already, there is nothing like a smile to shut someone down. I did see in page 6 a piece titled "Scooter Braun's Toast at the Knicks Proves He and Sydney Have Reached a Major Relationship Milestone."
They've been together for like, what, 2 months?
I don't know. And they're broadcasting so much of their relationship that I just have to think this is a PR stunt for both of them.
Has he been married? Am I imagining it was?
Scooter Braun, has he been married? He doesn't seem like the type.
Does he?
Let me see.
I don't know why I feel like I remember him being married. I'm probably completely imagining that.
I see. No, he is divorced.
Okay, he is.
He was married to a woman named Yael Cohen Braun.
Okay, when did they get married?
In 2014, and then they finalized their divorce in September of 2022.
Okay,
and they have 3 kids, so he's also a dad. Okay. That's a lot. I don't know if she's ready to be a stepmom. That's a lot on someone's plate. Yeah, this is
that sounds
awkward.
Like she's probably doing research for a movie she's gonna make about an evil stepmom. Maybe that's what she's doing right now.
But in this toast, Scooter Braun said, "Sid, I love you and your family so much, and you're the greatest good luck charm for a New York Knicks and Jets fan in history." I don't know what that means in terms of a relationship milestone. The fact that they're publicizing so much of their relationship, though, does ring hollow to me. I don't think this has staying power.
I agree. And the fact that so much of her personality has been tied to her business prowess means it doesn't exactly have the ring of being something totally true or totally in good faith.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that she would have probably dated anybody who could get her ahead in her industry.
I wonder who would that be? Who could she have picked up that was, if Scooter Braun wasn't on the market, she could have picked up, I don't know.
If Bezos were on the market, she would be in there.
Oh, she probably tried.
I bet she did.
Jeff Bezos is like, look, I
he's
need
loyal.
Yes, he's got his non.
He's a changed man.
Did he leave Mackenzie Bezos or did she leave him?
I believe it was the case that he cheated and she initiated a divorce.
Did he cheat with
Lauren
Sanchez?
Yeah. Because I think it was maybe his brother-in-law that leaked the messages. I don't remember exactly.
Not a good foundation for a relationship.
No.
They've probably got a weird-ass open relationship where they both do weird shit.
Yeah, I really feel like I have to screen every Gen Xer that I meet these days for swinger, hints.
Mine wasn't about his age. It wasn't even about his age. It was just like when you reach that level of opulence, wealth, and status, it's just.
I would like to think that it's a rich people thing, but it's so much more common than anybody realizes, and it's gross.
Literally, this is just me, right? Like when I think about these types of things, I feel like that type of concept becomes a lot more palatable to someone or more plausible when you don't even come home to the same house every night. Where you're like, he's always traveling, they're always traveling. They're never. It's not like you get into a routine. Oh, honey, I'm home from work, because she's like, what is she like in a house? Wasn't her helicopter company that crashed, was it, for Oliver Tree? You know what I'm saying? Like, they already live an abnormal lifestyle, so it's a hop, skip, and a jump closer to jump into weird shit when you live an abnormal lifestyle than somebody who's kind of tethered to the world through a traditional routine.
I'm sure that had something to do with Sydney Sweeney's split from her now ex-fiancé. Jonathan Davino.
He just wanted a regular life, and she's like, "That's not for me. I'm gonna go hang out with Jeff and Lauren."
She kicked him to the curb.
And she probably gave Jeff Bezos that same face.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. We've got Elliot Page news for you guys.
Yeah, it's Pride Month, so it feels very appropriate to cover this topic today. And let's retrace our steps back to a couple of Pride months ago when we first covered this nature documentary. It was announced in 2024 that Elliot Page would narrate a documentary called Second Nature about queer and transgender wildlife. I kid you not. And all of this time later, I don't know why it's been so long in production. Now it is finally coming up to its theatrical release, hence why Elliot Page is back on the media tour doing interviews and promoting it. And in one of these interviews with a comedian friend named Ilana Glazer, Elliot Page shares her interpretation of what it means to have healthy masculinity. And I also want to put this in context. Elliot Page, back when she identified as Ellen Page, came out as a lesbian in 2014. And then in 2020, I believe in the end of 2020, December 2020, came out as a trans man. So it is 5 going on 6 years of identifying as Elliot Page now, and she is 39 years old, and the reality is setting in. This is what life is like for Elliot Page as a trans man.
Okay, here we go.
Healthy masculinity to me is, or even just something I've felt as transitioning is like leaning away from whenever there is some sort of impulse or expectation you've put on yourself to like shut down or conform in a way that usually feels like this, like I am closing off. I remember kind of being like, oh, Elliot, maybe you should, talk with your hands a little less, or maybe in pictures, because ever since transitioning, now I'm like, Johnny, I am smiling in those photos.
I've yet to see that, but I get the point.
Whereas I used to.
Hold, please.
Thank you, guys.
I suppose
Tonal
this
issues strike again.
Contributes to the tonal issues discussion on this show.
Okay, let's
continue.
see the rest of this
Okay, hold
clip.
on. Here we go.
I could barely look at a photo of myself. Whereas I used to be I could barely look at a photo of myself. I was always like, and now, and I'll be say a dude's like, hey, are you Victor from Umbrella Academy? And we're doing a photo together. He's very, I'm great. And like having that moment where I'm like, oh, should I also not? Like, should I also be
close
and
off?
It's just like, what the fuck, Elliot? What are you talking about? Like, oh, honey, you're the part of the problem.
None of those questions are relegated to like your gender. Like being insecure or unsure about how to comport yourself in public or in photos is something that happens to literally everybody, whether they were even those who were born male.
So, I mean, being a man, did you find any of that to be relatable?
Okay, it's kind of twofold. Now, I'll say what I mean by that, which is that no normal man who kind of works a regular job and doesn't do what we do, where you're kind of psychoanalyzing culture and stuff like that, I just don't feel like you put those thoughts out into the world very much.
You just keep them to yourself?
It's introspective. It's introspective in a way, but in a way that doesn't really benefit you, meaning that you're spinning your tires on the ground, asking yourself about all of these norms and whatnot, because that's really what they were getting at there, how to behave. And most dudes just aren't having that issue.
Yeah, well, one of these responses to the clip spoke volumes. Said a lot of women, that would of course include women who identify as trans men, think that men are constantly repressing their emotions to seem manly and only allowing themselves to feel emotions such as anger or lust. But most men simply aren't experiencing emotions that require repression, except for anger and lust. So most men responded to this saying only a woman would say this. And I know it sounded like a lot of word salad, but she was basically saying that she has these urges to do things that are considered effeminate for a man, but chooses to live authentically and express herself how she feels is natural without trying to portray a false version of masculinity.
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with being female, maybe, that you have these impulses to...
I don't. I think it's that they're in the arts. I think there's plenty of men which would give just as soupy and stupid of an answer.
Well, okay, sure, but I think this disharmony is coming from an irrevocably feminine place in who she is at the core of her identity. Obviously, that's not going to be addressed honestly in this interview. And the interviewer, I watched more of this 30-minute interview from several days ago, and the interviewer comes off as incredibly fake and vacuous. And is just congratulating Elliot Page the entire time on being such an innovator and such an original. It says, Ilana sits down with award-winning actor and cultural leader for queer rights, self-discovery, and truth, Elliot Page. Ilana and Elliot cover his new documentary, Second Nature, about queerness in the animal kingdom, the book Sex at Dawn, which was influential in both of their sexual developments, and the feeling of being in love. In this generous and open discussion, Elliot describes learning to move beyond the societal pressures to conform that we are all subject to and discover an authentic, personal sense of masculinity and the deep comfort he has found in being his true self. And it was a brave choice to leave the comment section open. I would say maybe not even brave, but kind of cruel when you know the exact type of response that this is going to get from the get-go. But on a lighter note, let's get back into the news about this documentary, okay? Because at least then we're not psychoanalyzing Elliot Page as a person anymore. We already know everything that there needs to be known about this person. So Second Nature is coming out this June. In LA, its premiere is on June 20th, and it says in its description, Elliot Page narrates this hilarious and heartening romp through the animal world, led by brave scientists fighting censorship as they reveal the truth about our nature. But of course, the subject matter of this documentary does not involve human beings at all. It's about all the other species, all 8+ million of them. And specifically the 1,500 or so of them that display homosexual characteristics. Seems like a pretty small percentage when you actually do the math in your head. But let's play the trailer that they released in February for this documentary.
Okay. By the way, if you're wondering, it's the comments are turned off on this one. But it has 82 upvotes to 95 downvotes, though obviously the downvote counter is the efficacy of that is up in the air. Here we go.
There are approximately 8.7 million living animal species on Earth. For centuries, we have been told that when it comes to gender and sexuality, all these millions of species follow a certain set of rules. But what if this narrative fails to capture the full spectrum of life's diversity?
Homosexual behavior in nature is one of the best kept secrets. It's absolutely everywhere.
Is it like a top-down conspiracy? Who's doing this? Is it Soros? Is it
patriarchy?
Is it the Koch brothers? Like who's the one? Is this David Ellison doing this? Like keeping the great gay debate away from nature? Let's continue.
Not only do many species illustrate homosexuality and gender multiplicity, they also illustrate sex transition.
Biologists now know sexuality is fluid and that all of that is normal.
I don't know any species where homosexual sex or gender non-conforming is a taboo or cannot be done, except when it comes to humans.
There have always been scientists who have been willing to stand in opposition to the existing worldview, and there are consequences for that.
I was completely unprepared as a scientist to deal with this. We learned what we learned in school, and we want to believe that it's true, and it's messy to now say, oh.
So what they're saying is we shouldn't pay teachers more. They're not underpaid. Is that what she's saying? I feel like that's what she's saying.
Oh, it wasn't really that way?
Yes.
I realized it can't be the people who are defective. It's got to be the science.
If we understand same-sex behavior better, we're also going to understand different sex behavior better. We're just going to understand the sexual lives of animals better.
There is endless diversity in nature, and the old stories we've been taught deserve a second look.
Okay.
My interest is piqued.
So, yeah, they're saying believe the science.
Yeah.
And you might have noticed Page Boy at the beginning credits. That is the name of Elliot Page's production company that she formed in 2021. So Elliot Page is one of the executive producers of this project. It wouldn't exist without her funding it and attaching her name to it. And if we really want to get into the nature versus nurture debate, we could go there. I don't think that this really makes sense if the point of the documentary is to prove why there's nothing wrong with human homosexual behavior, because that opens up so many other debates. Is it okay for human beings to take a shit in their hands and throw it at people? Is it okay?
It is if the Knicks just won the NBA Finals.
I mean, should we promote, people licking their own genitals and eating their own throw up? Should we promote, human mothers eating their own babies? There are a lot of things that animals do that we consider completely morally unacceptable for human beings. So merely the premise of the argument being, well, animals do it, so it's okay, doesn't really make sense, doesn't really hold up if we want to have a genuine ethical debate. And all of that aside, you can look at Elliot Page's own life and what Elliot Page has shared in her memoir, Page Boy, by the same name of her production company. She did share about being victimized in multiple instances of sexual abuse and grooming as a young star in Hollywood. And she refused to name exactly who these perpetrators were, of course, as that always goes. But you could just as easily argue that her current identity issues and behavior stem from trauma. That's, of course, just not considered an acceptable area of debate.
I suppose the most interesting thing I see here, Not the Bee said, wow, that healthy masculinity she's talking about sure sounds like femininity. And then they were talking about identity politics being a form of pure narcissism. And in a lot of ways, that is true. It is perfectly normal to have your own internal anxieties about your behavior, wherever you fit. As a dude, whether you feel like you're the most masculine or the least masculine person, being insecure about aspects of who you are is perfectly normal. But pathologizing it and then doing interviews talking about it is a combination of narcissism, the point, the reason Hollywood exists in a lot of ways, right? To share these types of opinions on stuff. And I just don't think that you're going to reach the average guy, when it was somebody who sits in the middle line of what you would consider to be traditionally masculine in interviews where you kind of speak in prose about what it means to be a dude. It just doesn't ring true to a lot of them because, it is what it is and you just exist.
Yeah, I mean, she should know that this persona is not fooling anybody. And I don't know what she's referencing about being as happy as she is when in every interview and public appearance, she appears to be unable to make eye contact with people and looks constantly to be on the verge of tears. It's not fooling anybody.
It's like, to me, it's like a lot of it is that as a guy, your responsibility in life is to kind of shoulder your burdens and deal with them. Perhaps not internally. If you're married, you share what you have, you know, your struggles and stuff with your wife.
Some people would say that's ill-advised.
Like, depending on, you know, what you're talking about. It's the burdens of family and stuff, right? You share those, but you don't share them with your kids, and you face down those burdens every day to make those around you feel safe. That's why you don't share everything with your spouse, right? Because they need to feel secure in that relationship, that whatever's going on, you've got it handled. None of that rings true with what was just said here. But again, that is on a scale of what you consider to be masculinity that doesn't even ring true for most people who are part of that type of liberal orthodoxy.
Yeah, I also don't want people to use this as some sort of insight into masculinity or the lived experience of men, because the lived experience of a woman pretending unconvincingly to be a man is basically nothing like the experience of a man. So we shouldn't even let that, you know, enter into our conversations about who has it harder. But I said this when we talked about this documentary last, and I'll say it again. Nobody genuinely wants to listen to that voice for 2 hours. That is a terrible choice to narrate.
It's not
the
even
documentary.
British. All documentaries should be. I was watching
Yeah.
a
Ian McKellen, actually.
I'm not even kidding you. I was watching a documentary on Route 66, and the guy narrating it was British.
It must be.
But it's about America. Why is a British dude narrating a Route 66 documentary?
Because they sound more intelligent.
Well, I mean, I think the point was like it was done as like some type of it seemed like some type of program that they did with the UK government to encourage travel or something. Probably did something similar for them over there. But still, I was like, what the hell am I doing? What the hell am I watching? This should be like an American dude.
Well, look, I mentioned that just because there's something deeply disconcerting about an artificially altered voice, and it's the first thing that you notice once a woman gets on testosterone in HRT is the voice. It's nothing like a man's voice. It's nothing like a woman's voice. It's almost similar to an adolescent, like pubescent boy's voice.
That's
still not quite there. It's uncanny valley.
Those are the signifiers that they take for masculinity and femininity, though, right? Their voice. Whereas, like, for instance, guys, I still have people say all the time, Brett has gay voice. Guess what? I don't lose any sleep. I don't lose an ounce of sleep over whether people actually like my voice. Like, I make the joke all the time, like whenever I get sick, I'm like, oh, I wish I had this voice all the time. But if I actually lost sleep over something like that, life would be a hellscape. You can't.
If you were Elliot
focus
Page,
on...
you would.
Yes.
Apparently.
All right. We got a 20 here from Not That John Stewart. Says, I had a witty comment, but I'm being censored and can't figure out what word or phrase I can't say. F YouTube. Well, they let you say F YouTube. That doesn't feel very censorious.
You guys say that all the time, that YouTube censors your super chats. I wonder what's going on.
Got one more here. I did not see this one from Pop Culture Junkie. I apologize. Said, interesting that this movie is produced by David Ellison's sister, who is gay.
Wait,
a production company that has a large share of duds. Well, what do you mean by duds? I don't know which company that is. I mean, David Ellison is... so it's not produced by David Ellison. It's produced by David Ellison's sister.
So you were actually onto something when you said David Ellison is doing he's conducting a conspiracy.
Yes, that's what I said.
Wait, let me find out who this is, because I didn't even know David Ellison had a sister.
It's so funny. I was watching the first Jack Reacher movie over the weekend, and I gave people that recommendation. If you haven't seen the original Tom Cruise Jack Reacher, ignore the fact that he doesn't look like the character. The first Tom Cruise Jack Reacher movie is actually fantastic. And seeing David Ellison's name as like an executive producer on that movie back in 2012, he doesn't look that old. Like, in my mind, David Ellison's like in his early 30s. Like,
it's Megan Ellison. That is David Ellison's younger sister. She's the founder of Annapurna Pictures.
Yeah, I saw that on there.
So that was one of the production companies behind Second Nature. That's
I saw
crazy.
that, yeah.
That is crazy work. I'm surprised that no one's brought that up, honestly, with all of the Ellison derangement going around.
Well, I mean, most of the Ellison derangement isn't coming from the right. It's coming from the left, and they see this documentary as a net positive, so.
Says she's known for backing films such as Zero Dark 30,
Okay.
Her, American Hustle, and Phantom Thread. Okay.
Elliot
Unlike
Page
David Ellison, who focuses on high-budget action franchises like Mission Impossible and Top Gun, Megan is recognized for her support of challenging independent cinema.
Boring.
Cool.
Boring. All right. Let's move on now that we are through that. What would you like to see, the cringe or the cute?
Let's see the cringe first.
Okay, I have to
This
pull
is
it up
a
here.
bit of a continuation of Friday's cringe.
Okay.
More on the literacy crisis that we're dealing with in our country.
Here
This
we-
time it's in Nashville.
Hold on. I'm going to try this first before we get through it. She exuded an effortless nonchalance that concealed her meticulous deliberation. The problem
A
is
plus.
these phrases are so stupid and like out of, what would be the better version of this if you really wanted to create some type of funny video that could show this? Show transcribed interviews.
That is tough.
That's impossible.
I'll say from personal experience.
Like-
yeah, that's tough to read out loud.
They should do like a levels test where like every time you pass, it gets more and more. And by the end, you're just reading Snoop Dogg interviews.
It's an acquired skill.
Yes.
Definitely.
All right, here we go.
Executed and effortless nonchalance that concealed her medicute.
Read this note card.
I don't know what that word is. Convivial?
You got it.
Is that what that is? It's not a word I've ever heard before.
The ambiance was I don't know. That's a word.
The ambiance was simultaneously convivial.
How did he get convivial, but not simultaneously?
And disconcertingly melancholic. Read this note card.
That was brutal, man. How are you going to get...
I love how some of them just walk away. They don't want to keep trying. They just walk away.
Is that... Somebody says nonchalance is misspelled. Is that true?
Yeah, there are multiple spelling errors, so I feel like he's kind of sabotaging people from the start.
I mean, if they were closer, I would say then that plays a role. But like my dad always said, if you lose by a point, like if you're not really, you weren't going to win either way. Like you can't be mad about a bad call if the game is close. So these
They did
people
their
aren't-
best with the script that they were given.
They did. Whew. Convivial. What does convivial mean?
That's a good question.
Can somebody look that up? What that means? Somebody super chat it. Cute of the day, ladies and gentlemen. I think I missed this one the other day, so I'm going to double check and show it today. I might have shown it, but I'm not sure. It says, little Archie enjoying some fresh air while recovering after complications from his gentleman's surgery last week. For this, we applaud you, Archie.
Get well soon,
Get well
Archie.
soon. I wonder if they
So
got
sorry
him.
you have to wear the cone of shame.
It's not even a cone of shame. The cone would be going the other direction.
True.
It's just something else. And then one more here from Matthew. Some of the many faces of Zira.
Zira? Is that the name?
Xera.
Oh,
Is that how
interesting.
it's pronounced? Again, I could
guess.
be a guest on this on the literacy crisis. Very cute.
Cute dog.
All right, let's move on.
A musician named Oliver Tree has just died in a tragic helicopter accident at the age of 32, and fans are already spinning theories about how this is possibly not an accident. And this is just the way things go now. Everything turns into a form of discourse, and people are looking for explanations. They're piecing together evidence like Charlie Day, when in reality, sometimes bad shit happens. That's my theory on it, at least. It appears that this really was a tragic accident, much like Kobe Bryant's death. But they're saying this is actually a top-down conspiracy from bigwigs in the music industry that had a feud with Oliver Tree just a matter of months ago regarding the release of his latest album. So we'll get into that in a second. I'll just give you the details. He died after a tragic helicopter crash in Brazil. So 2 helicopters directly collided with each other. In one of them, it was just the pilot. And in his helicopter, it was him and 4 others in the helicopter, including a YouTuber who was a friend of his. I hadn't heard of this person before, but he's also died, and it landed in a car park full of EVs, which then led to a fiery explosion. And it was, I believe, a car dealership. So huge fiery explosion. There are already aerial shots of the wreckage, and people can't really accept that this is the story. They need to come up with some other explanation.
There's a 20 here from Not That Jon Stewart who says convivial, enjoying good company, sociable. Synonym, social, characterized by merry, celebrating, festive. Continue.
Nice. So first off, I found that Oliver Tree had recently done an interview with Zach Sang, and he, in that interview, went into depth about his will. It's really interesting how every time a public figure dies, it turns out that they were talking about their own death and the afterlife quite recently before the tragic end of their life.
Or it's because they all give lots of interviews and it's a common question that could be asked of famous people.
Right, that's true, but it was only in April that that interview took place. And he shared that he has willed his family $0 from his fortune off of music. I believe his net worth was estimated somewhere around $4 or $5 million, but he noted in this interview that his music is only going to make more money off of residuals after his death. And I want to play that clip.
Yes, the one from TMZ?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
And don't mind the insane makeup that he's wearing in this clip. He's an artist.
I don't believe that any of the wealth or the things that get made from it is mine. And so when I die, I've set it up. My will is set up that when I pass...
Hold.
Okay. We're not getting lucky with the timing on these today. Thank you, guys. Okay. Moving on.
Okay, let's continue. Here we go.
My family, no one's going to get a penny. If I have a wife or kids or anything, not getting a fucking penny. I'll get my kids through college. That's the agreement, but they're not going to be a silver spoon. They're taken care of because my dad worked on some stuff in the 2000s. You know, like the idea is when I die, all the money's going to go back to artists. So I've set up a foundation. It's called Dr. Oliver Tree's Art Grants for Baby Geniuses. And it's set up so that basically the interest generated from my music will take mostly that, but there's also room for other money because when I die, my art will continue to have residuals and probably be worth more than it is now. People will finally appreciate my stupid videos and my stupid songs. That's when people appreciate you when you're not there anymore. Anyways, they might not. It doesn't even make a difference. But historically speaking, artists' worth go up after they die. So the art will continue to make money no matter what. And I have basically a committee that I've set up when I pass on, and I plan to do it while I'm alive, where basically everyone will vote on who the money goes to each year and a few different people, and it will be in the spirit of the Oliver Tree Project. So collaborators I made music or film or art with when I was alive will get to make the decision of where the money goes.
That's amazing.
But yeah, hopefully it will last for like 100 years, and people can also donate if you guys want to donate.
Okay.
So that was his plan, his Dr. Oliver Tree's Art Grants for Baby Geniuses fund, and I assume his wishes will be honored since he so recently laid them out publicly. Now, to go back to what you were saying, yes, artists do a lot of interviews. They do a lot of media. They're talking about basically everything. So it would have been resurfaced one way or the other, but people are construing this already as a sign that maybe he saw the end of his life coming and he was foreshadowing an early death even as recently as April in this interview. And they're trying to use this as one piece of evidence that this was no accident and this was planned and that he knew there were people coming after him. And who are those people? Well, they're claiming that it's Atlantic Records executives, actually. Now, he had this feud very publicly with Atlantic Records, with whom he signed in 2017, I believe. And he, on his most recent album, parted ways with Atlantic Records because they were not properly supporting the rollout of this recent album. So I want to play this video that he posted on Instagram in April. It said, Oliver Tree's last video on the internet is currently resurfacing, and he revealed that he feels his life is in danger after he left his record label. Now, that is not the content of this clip. It's a misleading caption. We'll listen to what he actually says in this clip.
We're talking about this one right here?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
I just got word that my album is no longer coming out. Love You Madly, Hate You Badly is officially canceled, and I'm parting ways with Atlantic Records. Behind the scenes has been nothing short of a nightmare. I have no marketing budgets for music videos, no digital ad spend. Nobody really cares in the building, it seems like. I made a lot of money for Atlantic Records, and they don't seem to remember that. I have gotten no support. They forgot to ingest multiple songs into the system, which means the songs didn't come out. I had a Valentine's Day breakout song that didn't even get released because someone forgot to put it in. I don't really understand how that's possible. I've made them tens of millions of dollars, but they don't remember that.
It actually kind of makes me feel like less alone in the world, knowing that stupid shit happens at big record labels too. Like every time I forget to upload a video or something, it's good to know that it happens not just in the small scale, but in the big scale as well.
So, the music is owned by them. The remainder of the music will not be coming out. I will always continue to make music. Thank you for everyone who's supported me. I can't wait to release more music at some point at a later time, but for now, there is nothing on the horizon. I'm so sorry, and I love you guys.
So read the caption again.
Yeah, as you can tell by now, this is incredibly misleading.
Unbelievable.
Claim that he felt his life was in danger. That was nowhere in the clip. And I did find the original one on Instagram as well. There was nothing edited out of this clip where he says anything to the effect of, my life is in danger.
And why would it be edited out if the whole point of the person posting it was to declare that it was there?
And these types of engagement posts are all over X, related to other public figures as well. I just saw one of Jada Pinkett Smith that was a random interview where she was just kind of being annoying as usual, but it was captioned like, Jada Pinkett Smith reveals that she hates Will Smith and da 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 da. None of that was in the content of the clip, but they're relying on people not turning their volume on and actually watching for themselves to make up their own minds and investigating the facts independently. So that's how this was framed. I wouldn't even call it framing. It's just lying. And then just a couple of weeks after that post where he says his album is not coming out, he was relieved to tell his fan base that his album was in fact going to get released under his own personal imprint. He had parted ways with Atlantic Records at that point after a negotiation that lasted weeks, and decided to release the album independently, his personal imprint called Alien Boy Records. So as of April this year, he was no longer an artist signed with Atlantic Records, according to everything I've been able to find out. Let's play that clip from his Instagram about his album.
Yes, this one here.
Again, don't mind the makeup. This is just what he does. He's always
a record label. Let's talk about it. After making tens of millions of dollars over 8 years for Atlantic Records, they no longer want to support my art because I'm not making songs for TikTok. And after dedicating my entire life to making art, I never got into this to make TikTok songs. I know the effects of TikTok. I've had multiple songs that connected there, but that's not why I got into making art. Over the last 2.5 years, I traveled 82 countries and recorded this album on all 7 continents. These are the types of projects that charge me as an artist. This is why I got into it in the first place. And just because I'm not making songs for TikTok means that the label doesn't want to support the vision. Well, guess what? I don't give a shit. And after you guys have joined together in tens of thousands and sent messages to the label, we have officially reached a negotiation over the past course of a week. My team has got the label to agree to release Love you madly, hate you badly on my personal imprint, Alien Boy Records. You guys, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This music is finally going to see daylight. So support your local indie artists and go pre-order my album. April 24th is the official date. I love you all.
Who owned Alien Boy?
Him.
But he called it an imprint. Was it an offshoot of another brand?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to look into that further and figure out if there's a parent company, but it appears that he independently formed his own record label, and it was not a subsidiary of Atlantic Records or some other large music label, at least according to what I read earlier today. So I have no idea why the F Atlantic Records would think it's a better solution to just kill someone instead of funding an ad campaign for their music videos.
Or just cut bait and don't release stuff and move on to the next artist.
The story they're spinning here is not adding up for me. But one of the replies here says, damn, y'all are really out here defending a record label that told him to watch his back right before he randomly dies in a mid-air helicopter crash in broad daylight? Two choppers colliding perfectly over a car lot? Sure, Jan. Meanwhile, the same industry that insures artists for millions and makes bank off their deaths is just a coincidence to you.
Wait, so
he left Atlantic for creative freedom and suddenly he's gone? Wake the F up! They didn't want him owning his masters or exposing their game, but keep calling it clickbait while they profit off of his corpse. Sheep gonna sheep.
Okay, so is the idea...
The theory is an artist dying young adds value to their brand.
I get that, but I'm
saying...
saying...
And they can earn money off of the music he released under Atlantic Records.
The actual crash. It was two helicopters running into each other?
Yes.
So is the idea here that the record executives tied up some helicopter pilot's family in a basement and said, you better fly this helicopter into this other helicopter? Bro.
Yes. They hired a hitman to go on a suicide mission to kill a musician who, if we're being honest, is only famous to young people on TikTok. Yes, that is the argument. That is, in fact, the argument. And once again, and I've said this before, musicians are not victims. They're bad at reading contracts. They're bad at managing money. They're bad at negotiating for themselves because they are creative temperaments. And nothing about signing with a large record label that is investing in your creative efforts makes you a victim. If you didn't know what kind of agreement you were getting into, blame your lawyer.
It doesn't even seem like he's necessarily... He moved on his own.
Yeah.
He took the chance on his own. So clearly this wasn't the type of thing where he was going to stay locked in forever. He walked. I'm surprised he was even able to take those songs he recorded prior to the album coming out with him, as opposed to being unreleased masters still owned by Atlantic Records. But I don't know all the details on that. But I'm just waiting to see about or maybe the label found a helicopter pilot with a terminal illness that they could pay for the medical, pay for the families of to be taken care of.
Took out a life insurance policy on that pilot. Right.
No, I was like, they're like, look, you're gonna die anyways. We'll take care of your family as long as you fly into Oliver Tree's helicopter to prevent him from what?
It's so cartoonish. It's so insane. And by the way, as for the argument that he was hinting at dying soon, he had just commenced a world tour with 70 shows in 30 countries that he fully intended, by all accounts, of completing. He was in Brazil for that very reason.
Well, he was on tour. He was on tour.
He was on tour, yes. He'd already commenced that world tour back in May, and it was going to run through the summer. So there was no hint that he was, planning on getting assassinated anytime soon or saw that coming. But I guess we're just sheeple, right? And now all the comments on his Instagram posts from the last couple of months are saying this wasn't an accident and he got assassinated by a bunch of fat cats at Atlantic Records who didn't want him to succeed without them.
Wake up.
But yeah.
Wake up, sheeple.
We're sheeple. That's us. We're the sheep.
All right. That's fine. Let's move on.
I'm fine with that too.
Continue. Let's move on. We've got more.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. So I finally got around to watching Obsession because I felt I'd be remiss not to watch it and make my own opinion after we've been covering the landmark success of an independent movie for the past few weeks. It's been breaking tons of records. It just became one of the top 10 highest grossing horror movies of all time in the US. And Curry Barker, the director, just had this huge cover story with The Hollywood Reporter. And one of the tidbits that he revealed in this interview is that he made a huge bet on his own story instead of taking a bigger offer to rewrite it. He said that he was offered $2 million to rewrite Obsession and make Bear, the male protagonist, its hero instead of its villain. But he turned down that offer and instead made his own version of the film for a budget of $750,000. So this is a huge underdog success story, understandably resonates with a lot of people, but it kind of reveals in a way that he did intend for Bear, the male protagonist, to be the villain of his own story. And that's been a subject of a lot of online debate for the last several weeks as it's been in theaters. A lot of people are basically turning this into fodder for gender war SLOP debates. And on one side, you've got people saying that Bear was actually the victim and that Nikki was the villain in the story. In case you're unfamiliar, the premise goes that Bear, the male protagonist, accidentally casts a love spell on Nikki, and unbeknownst to him, it was real. She becomes demonically obsessed with him and it ruins his life. And this is the point of contention. Some people are saying that he had no idea for the entire movie that it wasn't really Nikki, and he just thought she was going through something. Like she was just having an emotional breakdown and he was trying to be supportive.
You're acting a little crazy. You're acting like your mother. Okay.
Yeah, but having watched the movie now and gotten the full context, I can confidently say the people online calling Bear the victim or even the hero of this story are rage baiting, and they know better, because Curry Barker's own admission here is that Bear is a villain. And he was knowingly taking advantage of Nikki's possessed body. And it's even shown unequivocally that he is raping this possessed version of her, knowing that she is trapped in this version of the sunken place, basically, in this movie. And he even calls the customer service number on the back of the One Wish Willow novelty toy that he bought. And it's not ever explained who makes this or who's really behind this. Not really necessary for the story. You've got to suspend disbelief on that. But the customer service rep who picks up the phone offers to let Bear speak to Nikki on the phone. And when he hands the phone over to Nikki, all that Bear can hear is her screaming in agony. So that's confirmation enough for Bear to realize that he is not, in fact, in a genuine relationship with his crush. And he is actually under a spell of his own with a possessed fake version of her who is possessing and controlling her body. And there are multiple moments, even before he has a conversation with Nikki, where she breaks out of the possession spell for just a couple of seconds and says, "It's not me, it's not me." So you know definitively by the third act that he is very much aware of what he's doing. So there's no possible interpretation that he's just a sensitive young man looking for love at this point in the story. And he ends up, I guess, either in an attempt to end his own suffering, but also end Nikki's suffering, I'll just give you the spoiler. He does kill himself at the end of the movie to save both himself and Nikki from this dilemma that they're in. So that's the conclusion I've made. I think most of the people, if not all of the people claiming that Bear is a hero, are rage baiting for, X ad revenue. I don't think there's anything more to it, but this has really activated gender wars online for Zoomers. And this tweet that I saw about Obsession kind of explains why. For those confused by Obsession's massive success, let me break it down for you. Curry Barker has tapped into the Gen Z female lizard brain with this movie. The same female lizard brain which ranks nice guys worse than actual rapists and criminals. Why is it so? I don't know, but every girl has her bear and has utterly unrealized hate against them, which never gets released. But here in the movie, their greatest horror fantasy of loving a loser and him actually being bad gets realized, and their hate gets a channel. That's why you have seen 160 million, I don't know where he's getting that number, women write the same essay on the movie. This is a generational movie because it's the first time a Gen Z director has used his street knowledge subtly and made millions off of it. So that's where people are getting the idea that this movie reflects anything about the modern dating landscape. Because Bear is the ultimate lay nice guy. There is a huge difference, as we all know, between a nice guy and a nice guy. A nice guy, in scare quotes, is pretending to be nice in order to trick women into thinking he's harmless, when in reality, he has bad intentions. He's probably going to say that he's a male feminist, and use that to get into women's pants.
Where does this fall on the scale of between male feminist, this guy, and the performative male? Does he have a matcha?
He's not full on matcha sipping and reading the bell jar in the movie, but he's the typical self-pitying, narcissistic, sweater-wearing, lay nice guy who can't take responsibility for his own desires. And all the while, there is a mid chick that actually likes him, and he doesn't want to date her. He wants to date Nikki because she's unattainably hot compared to him. And that's the thrill of the chase, And then when this spell eventually causes her to finally reciprocate his feelings, at least so it seems at first, he takes full advantage of that. It even gets to the point where they're in bed one night. This is, I think, right before the third act. And she's asleep. The possessed version of Nikki is asleep, so she's not currently terrorizing him. He's trying to slip out of the house to go meet up with his mid-friend, Sarah. And he's really worried that this is going to get him in trouble. But Nikki, the real Nikki, inside, is able to whisper to him and ask for him to kill her, to mercy kill her. She says, "It hasn't been me this whole time. Please just kill me. I don't want to do this anymore, please." She's begging him, and she's like, "Please don't say anything loud enough to wake her up. It's me. It's the real Nikki. Please kill me." And his response says everything you need to know about this person. He says, "Well, what's so bad about being with me?" And then he just walks out. And then the third act begins. I won't have to retread the entire story for you, but it very clearly demonstrates that he is knowingly taking advantage of Nikki's body as a sex slave, essentially, a sex doll. So women see this and they, identify Bear as like every fake nice guy who has ever deceptively tried to get in their pants by pretending to be nice. Mm-hmm. That's not the same thing as actually being nice, obviously. And I have to agree now with the think piece that we covered last week, I believe, claiming that this is categorized as hetero-pessimist media, because it is true that Bear's friend Ian is the more successful male, and he doesn't cling to these antiquated forms of courtship in order to get access to Nikki. He actually negs Nikki and degrades her, calls her a nickname that she doesn't like. And it turns out he finds that they have been hooking up casually in secret for a couple of years at that point, before she was possessed. And he's like, again, just like self-pitying over his lack of success in gaining his crush's affections the right way, by being chivalrous and nice, although that's entirely a facade anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with that theory that this is like a version of hetero-pessimist horror that either reflects or actively propagates negative attitudes towards the present and future of heterosexual relationships and romance. But as for women's interpretation of this movie, just on the most superficial level, they are correct in saying that Bear is the villain of the story. And Curry Barker did say that it's about codependent relationships. I don't think that's an accurate read of the story. And it's hard for me to have a theory of mind for people who are creative and not intelligent. I believe that he believes that about his own story that he wrote, but it's not accurate when you evaluate it on your own. It's not about codependency. It's definitely about a lay nice guy meeting his ultimate deserved tragic end. But to give credit to Curry Barker, he said that he has advice for studios that want to cater to a Gen Z audience, and it had nothing to do with promoting gender war slop. He said, "I wish they understood that we're tired of slop. We want good movies. People are still hungry for movies that are original without some big IP, as long as the story is good." But I don't even think this story is that good. Honestly, if I had to give it a rating out of 10, this movie is like a 6 out of 10. And if I'm judging it on the binary of rewatchability, it's a 0. I would never go back and watch this movie again. Maybe I have colored my opinion because I'm not a horror fan. I'm not a fan of the genre in general, and I don't like enjoy feeling anxious. So maybe I'm not the best person if you're a fan of the genre.
Genre-wise, it's probably harder to give an accurate rating if it's not something you actually enjoy, to find a good baseline there.
But this is my larger thought that I've just been like kind of trying to comb out in my mind. I think that a movie's cultural impact and excellence might have an inverse relationship with its ability to generate online discourse like this movie has.
Can you explain that to me?
Well, I think it has to be relatively shallow in the actual substance of the story for it to lend itself so easily to online discourse. And Backrooms, I think, is a more excellent film with a better story because it didn't so easily lend itself to, endless slop debates on X.
But the thing is like those are different types of debates. So what Obsession gives you is microblogging X debates about gender war slop. Backrooms inspires the Reddit threads and people who want to go and do deep dives into the minutia of what a movie means. That's the same thing, but through different audiences and in a different way, if you ask me. Like, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because I think that the other thing is like Backrooms being based off something that already had a bunch of lore already and tons of history. You can find endless videos about Backrooms and liminal spaces in general on YouTube, like video essays on it long before the movie ever came out. And
there is this like small but very dedicated fan base of Kane Parsons and the Backrooms series as it existed before the movie came out. Those are the people who are engaging in the most, I would say, discourse about the story. But Obsession, on the other hand, it just because it's related to relationships and dating lends itself so much more easily to, really, like the story is like given all this baggage.
Yeah, and I think that there's actually a time frame attached to that, because the societal norms and talk about gender will change in the next 3 to 5 years. Every so often the world changes, whereas discourse around something like Backrooms can be entirely tied to lore and can go on forever, provided that Kane Parsons wants to continue expanding the lore and making it do so. Ironically enough, being that, it's in a time where everybody wants something new. Maybe that's not what ends up happening. But the point is it feels like one is more inherently tied to the media, and the other one is when you're talking about Backrooms, you want to become immersed in the lore, and you want to know what it means inside that world. With Obsession, you're expanding outwards and making about what it means outside of the world that it exists in.
Exactly. And that's what makes me think it's a little bit cheaper in terms of storytelling. And having seen both of them now, I'm glad that I did, just so that I actually know what I'm talking about. But I think Backrooms has more staying power. I think that more people are going to remember Backrooms maybe 5-10 years down the line in terms of like the actual content of the movie. Obsession is, I don't think, going to last as long in people's cultural memory.
That's interesting, because I mean, right now the indication would be that it's Obsession that has the staying power, because because Backrooms did great in its opening weekend. Yeah, it made $80 million its opening weekend, but it had a big drop in week 2, more in line with what like a big budget movie has when it falls off the the wagon in its second or its third week. I don't know. I think that Backrooms will ultimately be seen as more of a big swing at a unique idea that perhaps didn't land as well as the director wanted it to. But the good thing could be is that on the horizon, it could lead to more movies that have a similar desire to take a risk, and then maybe that next one connects more thoroughly than that one did.
Yeah, and as we've discussed many times before, I don't know if commercial success translates to cultural impact either anymore. Like, look at the success of Zootopia 2. Nobody is going to remember Zootopia 2 or what took place in Zootopia 2 even like a year from now, despite the fact that it made a ton of money. So just the fact that Obsession is more commercially successful than Backrooms doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have more impact down the line. And it also helps that Backrooms does have a more unique look. Like, it's going to stick in people's visual memory more than Obsession will, because Obsession takes place in like, a paranormal but real world setting.
I actually don't know if they're actually pretty close in box office. Yeah, they're within $20 million of each other. It's just that Obsession was that Backrooms was more front loaded. Yes. Well, yeah, the prices weren't
originally
the same,
before being acquired.
Yes. But they're like, I think one's at like $268 million and the other one's at like 286. So they're fairly close to. Obsession is at $286 million worldwide, and Backrooms is, I think it was like 260 something. Yeah, $262 million worldwide. In the chat, Ethan Miller said that he believes the Obsession storyline is more timeless than the Backrooms storyline. I do agree that when you make something that avant-garde, that eventually it will give way in the way that found footage did. To a bunch of copies that will eventually date it in a specific way. But you could make the same argument about something that's heavily versed in gender dynamics. But stories of men and women will always be a bit more timeless, perhaps, than a unique I guess it's not science fiction, but horror concept.
I would disagree. I think that Backrooms is going to have more staying power and it's going to age better. It also is shown merely by the fact that Backrooms is set in the 90s and is still interesting and relevant, whereas Obsession takes place in current year dating. And I mean, even we know you can't cite statistics that are more than 5 years old as they relate to dating and relationships. I think it's far too bogged down with real life discourse for it to stick with people and really matter.
I mean, it's going to stick with people because of the box office success.
Right. The story about the movie in our world matters more than the story in the movie in their world.
But that informs that informs a movie's performance and how it's remembered culturally. So The Dark Knight was a great movie, but it isn't. Its legacy is informed by the death of Heath Ledger, which played a role in its box office and played a role in how people thought the movie was interpreted. They felt that Heath Ledger's performance, there's still that story about how supposedly his, the performing as the Joker drove him crazy, and suddenly he was taking sleeping pills and hydrocodone. That wasn't true, but once it was said, it didn't matter, and it informed the cultural legacy of the movie. A lot of people don't believe that a superhero character would have ever gotten an Academy Award if it wasn't for the fact that he had posthumously won for The Dark Knight. And perhaps that, now that happens more frequently, perhaps that never happens if he hadn't passed. The Dark Knight's legacy is tied to Heath Ledger's death in the real world, just the way that this discourse is.
Right. Well, Curry Barker has already hinted at writing a sequel to Obsession, maybe featuring Nikki, since the rest of them are dead. Sorry again for the spoiler. But
do
it could be with a
crossover.
totally different ensemble cast. And he said he's going to wait a while before writing and releasing that. And I don't know if 5 or 6 years from now, people are going to be like, oh yeah, I remember loving that movie. We'll have to see.
They'll do a crossover with The Housemaid.
Yeah, that'll be great.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. So Dead Internet Theory claims that the majority of online activity is generated by bots. And I think we are fast approaching a time where Dead Internet Theory is a dead internet fact, and that is genuinely the state of affairs on social media. I have a great example to demonstrate that from a recent TikTok trend that appears to be organic, but is not, at least according to some theories. I want to first explain. So this trend doesn't have a name, so I'm just going to have to explain it to you and show you an example. You take a phrase like, like you're gay, for instance, or maybe even you're black, or you're polyamorous, or whatever, and you say that phrase in 5 different intonations as some sort of acting exercise. So I've seen a lot of actors do this, but also just a lot of TikTokers who are jumping on the trend. Here is, for example, Victoria Justice saying you're gay in 5 different tones of voice. They are supportive, disappointed, sarcastic, flirty, and happy in honor of Pride Month.
Okay, here we go.
Hi guys, so I've seen people do this and I think it's funny, so in honor of Pride Month, here we go. You're gay. You're gay. That was confused. Hold on. I'm gonna try that one again.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I see that as disappointed, but okay.
Disappointed, okay. Okay.
That was a question. That wasn't disappointed. That was like asking them if they are. She literally doesn't know how to be disappointed in somebody.
Yeah, that would be homophobic.
You're gay.
That sounded just like you when you say it.
Yeah. She studied.
You're gay.
What? I mean, like what she said didn't sound flirty. It's just the stupid twirling of her hair.
And then one more for good measure. You're gay! You're gay! You're gay! You are gay! Oh, you're gay.
This is so memeable. Like,
yeah, it already has become a meme.
It's like, why are you gay? Like,
yes,
so
I've already seen clips from this video in the replies of like men commenting on women's appearances. Like, it's pretty easy. She knew what she was doing. But anyway, that's the trend. It doesn't have to be the phrase "you're gay." You can pick anything you want. In fact, why don't we just try it and we can demonstrate too? How about we do it?
Go ahead. So
okay, so supportive.
Wait, what are we gonna do a phrase? Let's do a different phrase. Let's because otherwise you're gonna be.
Do you want it to be "you're black"? What?
It doesn't. It should be something longer than that. It should be like
"You're gay" is the most popular one. I will say that.
Okay. How about you do sarcastic?
Okay. I don't know if I can keep a straight face. Oh, you're gay.
Yeah. Oh, you're gay.
Oh, you're gay. Okay, so you get the idea. And I'll tell you, it didn't even cross my mind that this wasn't an organic social media trend that people are just doing for laughs. And now there is a theory that it was generated from the start by bots that are using it to scrape human data and train AI voice models. So I'll just play this explainer for all of you who might still be lost, because I certainly am. I don't know if there's any evidence about who could be behind this, if any particular company is behind this, but let's play this explainer from someone who looks extremely annoying.
Is it the Instagram clip?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I missed that one here. Hold on. Let me refresh here.
It says most internet trends are data collection disguised.
Here we go.
Tag in the caption of this crossed my feed pointing out brilliantly that a trend you might be seeing on Instagram right now of people pronouncing various...
Is there like a bat sanctuary in this woman's house?
Sentences with different heightened emotions. Something like this, for example, that's coming from the creator who pointed this trend out, might actually be a manufactured trend to get people to freely post like different inflections of sentences online to better train the AI that's on Meta platforms on how to understand and then replicate different inflections in speaking to make it sound more realistic. And the majority of internet trends are falsely manufactured.
It's like name a movie that starts with M.
For surveillance or AI training purposes or otherwise. For example, never do one of these.
Yep.
Never do one of these. You are freely giving away variations of your likeness of your image.
They should be so lucky to get a likeness of my image.
So that as you grow and evolve throughout time, these trends are there to consistently track like your change in appearance. You should also never do anything like Receiptify. I don't know why we're still using Spotify, but if for some reason that you are.
Oh, but why? Because they're like, she's mad at Spotify. I'm guessing because it's got something to do with Gaza. That would be my guess.
Receiptify?
Never heard of it.
Let's see.
Does it say what that is?
Please know that anytime a trend like this that's tracking like your taste in any sort of way is absolutely surveillance tracking as well.
Did you know that your Spotify Wrapped is actually a CIA plan to get you to give them their music taste so they can do social engineering on you so that one day you'll be okay with the housing crisis here in the United States of America? That's what's going on right now.
It says that Receiptify is a tool that displays a user's 10 most played tracks from the last month, last 6 months, and all time in a receipt-like format.
Okay.
So this is affiliated with Spotify. And the other trend that she mentioned in that video was those things that I don't know how to explain it, but you toggle it on someone's Instagram story to remix it basically, and you post like 10 photos from the last 10 months or whatever, or photos of you from the last 5 years. And of course, people are incentivized to participate in these things because we have this natural desire to connect with people and share about our lives and share photos of ourselves. We all want attention, so it makes perfect sense why people do these things.
This is a complete aside, and we'll get back to the topic in a minute, but I was reading something earlier when I was doing some research for the Roku topic for tomorrow about Fox buying Roku. More nefarious from these tech companies than any of that, to me, is the idea of what's of what's called surveillance pricing, where they basically do research to find out how much you'll be willing to pay for a subscription to something and then just charge you that amount based on what it is. There isn't uniform pricing across the board. They harvest your data and then use that to determine what you're going to pay for your Washington Post subscription.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Isn't that horrifying?
It's so dystopian.
It's so horrifying.
Yeah, I thought at first that Receiptify was going to be one of those services where you scan your receipt to get rewards points.
Yeah.
But it's just a totally different thing. A couple other examples that came to mind for me was, of course, the most obvious one is the CAPTCHA photos that you have to select in order to prove that you're not a robot. And another reason why you do that is to train actual robots to make self-driving cars. So we have been training self-driving cars for our entire lives, unbeknownst to us, and freely offering our human data to train AI. And another one that I think has mostly flown under the radar, but that I have seen some people talk about, was the introduction of Snapchat filters. So like, I mean, every girl who had like a pimple that she wanted to hide or something would use the dog filter on Snapchat circa 2016, or the flower crown filter on Snapchat. These were the earliest iterations of face filters on social media. Now we've gotten to a point where you can just change your entire appearance and most people won't pick up on it. But back then it was more obvious that you were using a filter, and it was just for fun, you know, just for pictures on Snapchat. But I think, and I don't know if Snapchat has ever confirmed or denied this, I think even all the way back then when no one was really talking about AI, especially, you know, consumer accessible uses of AI, I think that those filters were being used to harvest biometric data and train AI. And now they do have an AI chatbot on Snapchat, unrelated to all of that. But they could be selling that data to any third party, and you already agreed to it in the TOS. So I guess that makes us boo-boo the fool. I mean,
everything is a form of, is a tool that can be used for that, any type of data mining. And the best way to do it is to find ways that engage people socially.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that Facetune uses any photos that you upload to edit your selfies to train their AI models to generate fake images of human faces. That's, I mean, every service that you use is doing this in some form or another. I just hadn't clocked it on the voice model training theory, and nobody so far has discovered if there is some shadowy organization behind it, but you never know. And I guess that's kind of the point.
It's so funny. In Person of Interest, they make the point that the guy who created artificial intelligence, Harold, also created social media because he needed to find a way to get more accurate information about people that isn't just in government records, which they had access to at that time. Basically, he was like the Tom. He was Tom who created MySpace as a way of like, he's like, yeah, we needed all this information. Turns out people were happy to share it.
And then we just burned everyone's music that they uploaded to our platform. Oops.
Oh, those bastards.
One of the comments said, all trends are data mining. Post a picture of you from 10 years ago compared to now. Post 4 versions of you. Post you happy versus complex emotion that they'd like to train their AI on. I refuse to participate. There's also trends of like posting baby pictures of yourself or family members. You never know. But it's all being sold. I mean, the fact that it's on one of these platforms means that it no longer belongs to you. So physical media, it's important. Put all of that on hard drives or physical photo albums and get flood insurance.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Super Chats.
Okay. Kat Hausen, I don't know if I said that right, said, I'm tired of every celebrity death being a conspiracy. Sometimes bad stuff just happens.
That is true.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Whatever,
but
sheeple. It's time to just wake up.
That means that we're sheeple, right? That means that we are the masses, and we are being led around by a bunch of shadowy executives at record labels, and
Rumble.
we don't think for ourselves.
On Rumble, West says, Mary, can you tell us a bit about your trip to China?
Sure. So I went to China for 3 weeks in 2017, in the summer of 2017, in between my junior and senior year of high school, for a study abroad program. I guess I won't say which one it is. I don't know. I don't know why, but I don't want to. And I studied that you could choose. It was like a thing that I had done for a few years before that. You could choose a course that you could take in, it was usually taught by like a grad student. And I chose that year, I think, neuropsychology or neuroscience. And that was what I thought I wanted to do with my life at the time. Obviously, that didn't pan out, but enjoyable and memorable nonetheless. I am not an agent of the CCP, though, promise. Katie said the Michael Jackson musical was amazing, but also hard to see his dad abuse him again and how profoundly lonely he was. I now respect him more. Well, some people would say that that's Michael Jackson propaganda. It's reignited all of the debates about Michael Jackson. Not that Jon Stewart said sup? Question mark?
Sup?
Sup? Jam Dolph Mandolph said R.I.P. Oliver Tree. He was so young and had many more songs to write and play. Why didn't God take me instead? Well, don't tempt fate like that.
Yep.
But yes, it was a tragic death. Dingus Khan of Gongolia said, speaking of mergers, it sounds like Tubi might be buying Roku. No word yet if they plan to merge Tubi and the Roku channel or keep them separate.
From what I learned from the articles I was reading earlier on the Hollywood Reporter, first of all, it's not Tubi buying Roku. It's Fox who owns Tubi buying Roku, and they spent about $22 billion of it. I'm surprised David Ellison didn't just reach under his couch cushions to find that to buy it as well. And
he probably leaves that amount of money like in his jeans and throws it in the washer. It's like, oops.
22 billion falls out. And from what I understand, though I have to do a little bit more research before tomorrow, they do plan to keep them separate. And I'll tell you why that makes the most sense to me. So theoretically, you could merge Tubi and Roku, and with less competition, you could charge higher ad rates, I suppose. But limit the, unless you're going to double your server size, you're going to keep all those shows on there. I feel like it makes more sense to continue both streaming services and, keep your ad rates for both of them. And they're also different. Like, I stopped using Roku. Because of stupid Howdy. Howdy has because they put the Howdy shows on the Roku app. And the problem is, if you click on a Howdy show, you can't watch it with ads. You can only watch it by paying the $2.99 for the upgrade. Now, if it would still play the show but include ads, that would be one thing. That's what happens when you use what used to be Freevee on Hulu on Prime. Like, you could watch a Freevee show on Prime, but I don't want to pay the $2.99. Well, actually, I do pay the $2.99 now, but I did that specifically for a month to watch something specific. But it got me off the app because I didn't want to have to keep clicking on stuff thinking I could watch it and then finding out I couldn't. So it just kind of destroyed the user experience. Tubi is the preferable streaming service right now. I'm watching reruns of Miami Vice, which I've never seen.
Shane H. Wilder said, people did like it. You guys are tagged, so you can find it easy at your own leisure.
Thank you.
Leisure? I don't know. Weary Traveler said, take the hat off. Oh, yeah, you read that one earlier.
I'm not doing
I don't know why you feel that strongly about Brett's hat. Let him live. Burned Oils said, due to her tough upbringing, very hard for little Mary to come to term with the fact that just like me, she likes Sideni. LOL.
I like that you read Sideni.
Sideni.
Do you? I've never seen you have like an overly negative take about Sydney Sweeney. It's a pretty business.
It's a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag. Like in a world where she's consistently villainized and valorized, you seem to have a pretty middle of the road opinion.
I try to be. I try to be fair. Just not cool with it when people dress up as babies and you know, that's gross. Robert Delara said, liberals feel good when they criticize Sydney Sweeney, scraping the bottom of the barrel when you criticize someone for smiling and shaking hands with strangers. Well, look, this time around, we got to be honest. It wasn't liberals criticizing Sydney Sweeney, from what I could tell. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the right wing either in this case. It's just master rage bait content houses on X that make ad revenue off of misleading posts. Although one of them was called something like America, like US News HQ. If that code's right, maybe so. Maybe it is a right-wing person behind that account, but who's to say? Who's to say it's not a bot? And then they did reply and criticize her for dating Scooter Braun because he's liberal and a Kamala supporter. So, I don't know. Man Bear Cow TV said Ellen is Elliot, Finkel is Einhorn. You're on the right path there. Shane H. Wilder said, why does it sound like she tried to smoke a carton of Marlboro Reds to try to sound like a dude? She doesn't want to portray false masculinity, but as a woman, she is not capable of anything else. Well put. No Control said, you and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals. So let's do it like we do it on the Discovery Channel.
That was what they were listening to, and they decided to make that documentary.
Exactly. Corey Anderson said, incest happens in the animal kingdom. Should we allow that as well? Animals don't have abortions, so should we get rid of that, right? Right? Yeah, that's an interesting point. Well, I guess instead of abortion, you know, I know this about like hamsters and gerbils. They literally just eat their children. I wouldn't condone that either.
I hate when that happens.
But if we're going by their line of reasoning, everything animals do is good because natural. So we should just imitate animals. That's what they're claiming. Boss N said, Mary, I bring you good news. An alarming number of people can't read. Literacy will be for the privileged again soon. Also, you look extra Victorian today. Thank you. Appreciate it. That is maybe... It's a white pill in disguise, perhaps.
Maybe we could get a shirt made with a picture of a printing press with like an X through it.
What does a printing press even look like, honestly? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, honestly. Like, being able to read, not just like sound out words, but being able to understand what you're reading and put it into context. Reading comprehension itself is going to become a much more rare trait as time goes on. Not that John Stewart. I think that was a 20 from earlier. No Control said, doing whatever you want, whenever you want, without consequences is the basis of leftism.
I do appreciate his pointing to leftism and not just liberals.
Well, is that not liberalism?
I mean...
With the very difficult to interpret.
Depends on if you're talking. I mean,
not harming anyone else.
It depends on what you're talking about. Liberals would believe in the free market with regulation, which would inherently mean that you could get punished for doing something wrong legally, whether that's, you know, where your mind goes to like violent crime or stuff like that. But the idea that you can just do whatever you want, laissez-faire, doesn't necessarily jive with liberalism, which would agree in some type of regulation when it comes to the economy.
I'm just trying to use liberalism in the classical liberalism sense rather than people who call themselves liberals today.
Well, when I was making this video the other day about the leftists and the liberals who are opposing the merger, for Paramount. And I think a lot of it comes to Barry Weiss. Because, like, they got Mark Ruffalo talking about it, making you think it's about the movies. But it's not. It's about CNN and the news networks. That's what it's really about for them. They don't want David Ellison to have control over the news because Barry Weiss is a liberal Zionist, I think self-admittedly, and married to a woman. And I see that as more like they don't even want a moderate middle, leaving out the Zionism of it. They don't even like the idea of an off-ramp to like away from progressivism and moving it towards the right. Someone could view a more moderate left-wing voice as somebody is something that's going to push you more towards right-wing beliefs than left-wing beliefs, rather than an off-ramp into progressivism.
I'm not a fan of Barry Weiss, to be clear.
Well, and my point was more like they were talking about it like it's the movies. We got to keep these actors. They got to be able to have jobs.
It is relevant, even if you think they're lying about it. It is a relevant piece of the story.
My point was the Block the Merger effort used the Mark Ruffalos and the Javier Bardems, but it's being funded by people who have ties to news networks and policy reform, which is different than, it's not sexy to talk about the news channels. It is, however, in vogue to talk about the studio.
Right. Shane H. Wilder said, it's almost like humans have rational souls while animals do not. Come on, a turtle will F a croc shoe. We are not the same as a turtle.
As far as you know.
Common sense. Yeah. Turtles are racist, by the way.
I heard that once.
Yeah, they attack dark colors. Not that Jon Stewart. That was convivial. We got another definition from Shane. Convivial, sociable, occupied with, or fond of feasting, drinking, and good company. The opposite of bread. Wow. That little dig there.
Backhand full of knuckles with that.
Damn.
That's
that was personal.
That's okay.
That's convivial. In a limited set of circumstances.
Well, it could be worse. It could be that person who has like that meme that's like, I'm like totally like what is it that it always says? Like I'm like, I keep to myself until I get to know you. I'm like, so you're like a normal person?
Yeah, I'm kind of shy until I get to know you.
So you're just like literally a normal human being who understands like risk versus reward versus like putting up natural barriers to people?
I would say I'm not shy at any point. I used to be, though. Shane H. Wilder said, damn, what happened to Shrek?
Yep.
And No Control said, the mediocre Hulk. Guys, please. He just died, okay? Let's try to be polite. Robert Zalera said, R.I.P. Shrek. Okay, you guys are crazy. Shane H. Wilder said the conspiracy doesn't even make sense. Why take out 6 people and an EV dealership for Oliver Tree?
It's at the very least, the absurdly public nature of the crime, if this was in fact a crime, belies a simpler solution.
Yeah. They probably could have just negotiated a new deal with him.
I mean, I'm not even going that far. I'm saying, like, if we're going, let's go down the conspiracy route for the sake of making, like, a television show. How about you, like, fake an overdose or fake literally any number of things?
There's so many options.
Yeah. That doesn't involve helicopters.
Mass murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think they'd be better at assassinating people by now if they've been at it for decades.
Defenestration. He fell off the side of a building. Like, if the idea here is that an overdose isn't believable, like, there's any number of ways this got hit by a car crossing the street or something. Like, literally.
Even a car crash would be more believable than what just happened. But, yeah, I guess they're just also really bad at assassinating people. Maybe. Pop Culture Junkie said, having flown in helicopters a fair amount, I'd be willing to bet the chopper crash occurred in bad weather at night.
I don't know.
Well, that's where you're wrong, bucko. It was in broad daylight on a sunny day, which means it must not have been an accident.
Exactly.
There you go. Corey Anderson said, so the lesson of obsession is be careful what you wish for and never trust a nice guy. Or as Tim would say, a sneaky fucker. Well, I don't know who coined that term, sneaky fucker, but I've heard it on the Modern Wisdom podcast before. I'm guessing it was Chris Williams. Is it Chris Williams or Chris Williamson? I think he might have started using that term and then it just caught fire. But yes, never trust a nice guy.
When you said sneaky effer the first time, your voice roboted, almost like you purposely like bleeped it out. It was kind of funny.
I didn't even realize. Shane H. Wilder said, I don't see obsession being remembered. Maybe mean like the Backrooms. Look at It Follows. No one really remembers it, even though it was lauded when it came out.
I guess we'll have to wait.
That's true. We'll only tell like 5 years from now, I guess.
We got a 20 here from Vodka Jable. Says, I'm almost 40. Only one photo of me made it on social media when I met my favorite male actor, Ernie Hudson, in 2014. We lost all physical family photos in a fire. Your moves, Skynet.
Well, RIP to those photos, but good for you. Shane H. Wilder said, and clipped, hot, gay. Wait, what was clipped?
Probably when we were doing the segment on...
Saying you're gay. Me saying that you're gay. Yeah. Sure. Boston said, Brett told us he wants his kid...
Hold. We got 20 gifted memberships. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
From Drummer. That reminds me, I forgot to read a member chat from Moon at Noon. Member for 3 months said, just another manic Monday. Yes, indeed.
This one from Boston says, Brett told us he wants his kid to live in a pod. L.
That's not what I said.
What did you say?
Me and Olivia went back and forth about HOAs a couple weeks ago. And somebody took that to mean that I was saying that we should just live in the pod and eat the bugs, when what I was actually saying was that...
Wait, were you defending?
I was defending your human right to live in an HOA as you so choose, even if they do end up making a lot of people mad with HOA Karens. I briefly toyed with the idea of like adding like remember to thank your local HOA Karen in my outro, but I have not yet done that.
I will.
And
happily say it.
My point was that clearly the list of like I saw a great this the other day. New CIA survey says 89% of resident rates their overall HOA experience as good or very good. Obviously, this is sarcastic. It's from r/fuck HOA. But I did find this
crazy subreddit.
I did find this hilarious from Community Associations Institute that says a majority of homeowners in condominium association residents rate their overall experience of living in a community association as very good, 67%, or neutral, 22%. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like propaganda just by virtue of, unless it's Pew Research doing this, I'm not sure if I buy it. And then Rocket Mortgage had one that said 47% of residents surveyed believe the neighborhood is better with an HOA, which probably seems like a more accurate number to me. But my point was not that your kids should live in the pods and eat the bugs. My point is that plenty of people choose to offload their thinking and worry to a greater authority like the government, and that is their right to do so, even if I think it's stupid.
Well, HOAs are freedom of association.
That was my general point.
Yeah,
I had fun bringing this up.
Private authority.
Yeah. I had fun bringing this up with Josie when I did her Discord episode. I'm like, what do you think of HOAs? But yeah, my point was like, we would never live in an HOA because I can't imagine like having to pay dues for such a thing. But I understand where people who like the conformity and the uniform nature of it, where it comes from, even if it's not something that I would willingly engage in. But everybody basically said that I was saying that, give in to the technocrats.
I think the anti-HOA people are just louder. Shane H. Wilder said, something no one talks about is that Pokemon Go's TOS stated that it was being used to train AI for GPS driverless cars from the beginning.
I'm sure somebody made videos about that.
I did not know that. I was one of the sheeple. Yeah. Wow. Shane H. Wilder said, study abroad, but you're already a woman. LOL. Yeah. Burned Oils said, in respect for Oliver, I will not super chat again today. Thank you, Oliver, for your beautiful smile, your tremendous music, and your big heart. Enjoy Cotton Heaven?
Okay.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but okay. Vodka J Bulls.
I did that
earlier.
one, yeah.
Pop Culture Junkie says, so glad only one picture of me exists online. That's mysterious. Well, that ship has sailed for me a long time ago. Corey Anderson said, would you ever have a VTuber on as a guest? Also, Oliver Tree had great hair. Just wanted to mention that. LOL.
I don't know how
Brett
it
was
would
saying that
work.
it was a wig, by the way.
I have
and
no
I was
idea.
like, hey, how do you know it was a wig?
I was just making it up. I have no idea if it was the one with the long hair. The one with the long hair looked
But
like
with
a
the
wig.
big bowl cut at
Yeah.
the top and then the mullet in the back. Yeah.
I don't know if I don't watch any VTubers, so I'm not in the
I don't
space
either.
to know any. Also, I don't know technologically how it would work. Because, like, for instance, when I have on Verbal Riot, it doesn't let him do his matte background because he has a green screen behind him.
Okay.
And I feel bad, like, having a person who's normally got like a cool looking digital
Yeah.
background, suddenly they're just
Yeah.
against a green screen
You
cloth.
Well, I thought that the service like lets you pick a background if you want, or your desktop software will do that for you. Like I can go and choose like blurring my background or like.
Can you do that
something
right
like
now? Can you do that right now? Does that
that.
work?
That's a good question.
Jamie, pull that up.
That is a good question.
We need
Let me
Jamie to
see.
pull it because I've never been on the guest end of this program that we use, so I don't know what that actually looks like there.
Yeah, I think it depends on whether he has a PC or a Mac or
Oh, okay.
what like settings he has in his webcam.
All right. Just double check, make sure that we are caught up on everything.
we
and
are.
It looks like we are. DJ Dubs on Rumble says Brett doesn't know Tech 9. I do know Tech 9, though I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of him growing up. I did listen to his music.
Do we have any more super chats or
No, I believe we are all
Okay, we're
caught
caught
up on everything. All right, guys.
We'll share my story.
Oh yes.
Real quick because it was so insane that I just need to I don't know, I just need to let everyone know that this is my life and this is the kind of aggression that I deal with on a daily basis from random strangers. They just target me. It happens. So anyway, without going into full context, I cannot tell you where I was or why, but I was going to pick up some food and I headed to a security entrance at this place that I was at. And I put my bag on the table for them to examine it. And it was totally normal. Like everyone's done that before. But I noticed as soon as I walked up, this security guard was eating a chocolate fudge empanada from Taco Bell. And I have low standards, but I would never order one of those dessert empanadas. Like that is beneath me. I'll own that.
I love the caramel apple empanada is amazing.
I don't know, man. The chocolate one looks disgusting, and
Okay,
I'm never
continue.
gonna eat one after this experience. So she was eating this chocolate fudge empanada, and it was just open on the table, and she was just going at it, just digging her long acrylic nails into all the chocolate. And when she saw me walking up, she was like, oh, gonna clean up my mess. Starts licking her fingers profusely to dig the chocolate out from under the bottom of her acrylic nails.
Mm-hmm.
And having had acrylic nails, I know how that goes. You cannot do that. You have to wash your hands in a very, you have to be very sure to get everything out from under there. So she starts licking her fingers as she sees me walk up, as if that's, I'll be like, oh, well, her hands are clean now. So I put my bag down and I saw her doing that and she was about to touch my stuff. I pulled it back and I was like, can you please not touch my stuff with chocolate all over your fingers? And immediately she just blows up at me, starts screaming at me. She's like, look, I can't get into the demographics of what this person looked like. I can't get into detail, but you might be able to guess just based on context clues. And she's like, girl, the fuck's you talking about? Like I was gonna touch, like you got some fancy ass bag that I can't touch because I have chocolate on my fingers. I would never do that. Like everyone here loves me, whatever. And I was like, okay. And then she was like, girl, go ahead. And just told me to keep walking, even though she, as the security guard, is supposed to make sure I don't like have a weapon. So I was like, okay, whatever. I go in, I come back, or no, I go in and then I'm like, I'm halfway down the hall and she's still yelling, but to somebody else so that I'll hear it. And she's like going on about like you have some fancy ass bag, like you don't even want me to touch it.
Did you have a fancy ass bag? That's the real question.
I did, for the record. Yes, I did. And I turned around and I was like, ma'am, you had chocolate underneath all of your fingernails. Because I was just like, is this even real? Like, what? And she just like dismissed me and like shoved me along. So I came back and I was like, would you please provide me with the name of your supervisor? I went full Karen mode because I'm always ready to go Karen mode in this world. It's a world where you have to be a Karen to make sure that basic standards are upheld. So she said, I don't have one. I don't have a supervisor. And I was like, you don't have a supervisor. Is that what you're telling me? And she stood on business on that. And I was like, okay, can you provide me with your name? She's like, I don't have one. Don't have a name. And I was like, got it. Okay. So I just took a picture of her at that point. And I will have you know, action was taken. And I did, in fact, investigate and find out who her supervisor was, and justice will be served if I have anything to say about it. Can't go into full detail, wish I could, because it just makes the story that much crazier. But yeah, this is the shit that I go through on a daily basis. People see me and it's like a heat-seeking missile. They just lock in and they're like, I have to be a bitch to this woman right now. So yeah, that's what happened.
Well, all right then. I think we got some more super chats.
Absolutely disgusting though. Like I'm gonna like you don't touch people's stuff with saliva and food all over your hands. Why would you ever think that that's okay? Anyway, Brian Bledsoe said at least the UFC event went better than that concert for Freedom 250. I don't know if the concert's even happening anymore.
Yeah.
Isn't it canceled?
Wasn't there also some like counter programming event like that was put on for like liberals during the UFC fight? There was like some like it was like their own version of the Turning Point halftime show.
I didn't hear about that.
I think I saw something about that. I'm not gonna lie, guys. When the dude said the thing about Michelle Obama, I was just like, I'm tired, bro. Like, yeah. I get it. Like they call everyone on the right Nazis all the time. I get it. I get why you can't give them an inch because they will never acquiesce and they will just continue to advance forward saying the same shit over and over again. But I'm just tired. I am
too. I feel it too. Yeah. I don't even know what fatigue it is. Is it just politics fatigue?
I guess I was here I was hoping that at like the UFC 250 event on the White House lawn, maybe it would avoid such a party line thing. Mm-hmm. But like I people still want to sell you that image of the flyovers and planes and American exceptionalism and how we're all kind of connected under the auspices of being Americans, and that's a great thing. And then it gets just dragged back into party politics. And like I said, I get it. I know why you can't acquiesce, but I'm just tired of it all, from all of it. So. Yeah.
Corey Anderson said Side Scrollers has VTubers on all the time, so it is possible. Reach out to Blabs. I am sure she can inform you.
Well, my point was technology-wise, I don't know if it how it would work for us because we don't use the same program that Side Scrollers does because I've actually talked to them about that. But I would have to I would have to look into them first. Like I've never had people really wanted to have people on that I don't at least know what their content is and like look into it beforehand. And I do not cold reach out to people anymore that like whose stuff I don't watch, because we're not having them in studio. It made more sense when we were doing it once in a while in studio.
I mean, is it just me, or is being a VTuber a little bit sus?
No, I don't even know inherently what that means because I don't watch the content, but
I don't know.
It is what it is.
I've seen some very cringe examples, but maybe you're not talking about them.
Though, if you guys want to throw some
give
examples,
us
I'm not even saying of VTubers, but if people you'd like to see do like a guest episode of the show, throw them in the chat.
Corey Anderson, was the memberships on a internet show real? Yes, the memberships on the A Internet Show channel are in fact real. They are about as real can get, and we want your money. That's all real. Not That Jon Stewart said, the foreigners on my X timeline have discovered Taco Bell, LOL. I did see Freddie, the German guy, post about going to Taco Bell for the first time. He's on a generational run, but I can tell people are already sick of his shtick. Like, he's already getting on people's nerves, so it might be best to hang his hat at this point. Shane H. Wilder said, that is disgusting and uncalled for. That, and you made me sad because I went to pick up my Taco Bell today and had to cancel it because their fryer exploded.
What?
That's insane. Did someone like get hurt or like die? Sheesh.
I see somebody in the chat.
You should get free Taco Bell for life, by the way.
Ty MW says, Dixie Mafia, aka the Clintons' little cocaine network. Is the Dixie Mafia, was that a real thing?
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
I've been rewatching Justified, which just gets better every time. Like, I don't have the patience to sit through it the way that I used to back when I did tons of drugs, but no. But the prose are it's so well written. And the show has such a deep bench of guest stars that come back every episode. Margot Martindale's performance in season 2 is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen, and I'm appreciating it even more now. But I was watching it yesterday, and they were talking about the Dixie Mafia, and I was like, was that an invention of the show?
It's very much real.
Okay.
Yeah, I've met an elderly person in the South whose family did have connections to the Dixie Mafia back in the day. Don't know if it's a thing anymore.
Of you, if you have not seen Justified, you should go and watch it. It is fantastic.
Robert Delera said, "You go, Mary, with your fancy bag. Good for you. Thank you. I needed some more.
She's like, I needed this.
I needed this. I did.
Guys, we're very close to a third crisis party. Technically a fourth, if you count. Yes.
Pop Culture Junkie said, Mary, regarding your story, I have a strong dislike for people who force me to become an asshole to accomplish something fairly civil. Same. And it seems I encounter these types of people more and more often these days against my will. But that's just how the country is now.
Don Irish in the chat says, Justified is old news. Good show, though. Well, then you must be new here, because every show I like is old news. Like old news. In fact, it's not even the oldest news of the stuff that I like, because I think it came out in 2010. So, conservatives will recognize Nick Searcy. He's a big conservative.
Oh, he's in it?
Yeah, he's one of them. He's a main character. He plays Raylan's boss.
Where is Longmire set?
Longmire is set in Wyoming. Though I believe it was shot in New Mexico or something like that. But I believe it was set in Wyoming.
I think we're all caught up on the super chats on YouTube, at least.
Well, we've got a 20 here from Shane H. Wilder, who says, the memberships for a internet show better be real, or I don't know where my money is going. As for the fryer at Taco Bell, no one was hurt, but the floor was covered in scalding hot oil. A worker outside was smoking like, F this. Yeah, I bet.
You know what? Good for them. They deserved that smoke break. But not near the oil.
Yes, don't do that.
That would be really, really bad.
They do that he does that in an episode of Justified, where he douses a guy in gasoline and the guy pulls out a gun. He's like, I wouldn't do that. I don't know if you know how a firearm works, but I wouldn't do that.
It has fire in the name.
Yes.
You might notice.
All right, guys, before you go, would you hit the like button on this episode, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you've not subscribed here yet already. Again, please and thank you. Share the episode out with your friends and your family and your loved ones, everybody in your life that you both love and hate. The more people that you share the show with, the faster this channel can grow. One more from No Control, who says, "How gross to touch random bags, then eat without washing your hands first."
Wait, what?
How gross to touch random bags, then eat without washing your hands first.
You know, it's actually, it is pretty gross when you think about it, that she's touching the belongings of strangers all day for her job and then eats with those hands and then examines more strangers' belongings after eating.
Yeah, but she's probably got like a dynamite immune system. She probably never gets sick.
I shudder to think.
One more from Greg Dubier says, "I like turtles," and the left lane is for crime. All right. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram. That is Mary Archived. Or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Also, just as an aside, I think we are going to hit 50K on Rumble by either tomorrow or the day after, which is a huge deal. So thank you guys so much for that. Also,
we're Rumble famous.
There you go. I mean, what will get?
She goes to, like, you have a girlfriend at a different school. She goes to Rumble.
Yeah.
She's on Rumble.
That's a good one. You know, Rumble.
She watches on Rumble. You wouldn't see her in the chat on YouTube. She watches on Rumble.
Was that a thing growing up? People having like fake girlfriends that they say went to a different school?
I don't know.
I always hear
said
that.
It was a thing.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, guys, hit the like button as always. If you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. Remember, if you are not a member of the Timcast Discord, perhaps go over there and sign up for a membership. At the very least, if you are a Timcast Discord member, make sure you check out the Saturday episodes of Pop Culture Crisis that I'm doing over there, twice a month. We did one this past weekend. It was a lot of fun. Going to do it again, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after that. And it's been great to kind of plan those shows and be able to take questions from you guys. We kind of I had a back and forth with the member over the weekend about what it would actually mean for the likes of us on YouTube if Paramount gets to consolidate further. So it's kind of fun to go on and have those debates. So you should go and sign up over there. Again, if you want to follow me, Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both those platforms. We are live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you are a listener rather than a watcher of this podcast, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, which is a great way to help us out. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode with special guest Vera Dark tomorrow. We will see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
One last super chat from Not That John Stewart says, "Turtles in the left lane like crime." Okay, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Bye.